All right. So now we are recording this session. So guys, do you want to discuss something? Do you have any doubts up till this point, whatever we did? Okay, I suppose there are no doubts. That's great. Okay, so here, last week we discussed something about method overloading. Okay, so I just quickly read the definition and we'll move on. So method overloading was if two or more methods have same name but different parameters, it is known as method overloading. Okay, now moving on, the further concept which we are going to study is inheritance. So what inheritance is, let us see what the definition says and then we'll see what it actually is. Okay, so inheritance says inheritance can be defined as the process where one class acquires the properties of another class. Okay, when we say acquires the properties, we mean methods and fields. So this is the definition, bookish definition of inheritance, but you will see if you open a textbook or a website. Okay, so it says inheritance can be defined as the process where one class acquires the properties of another class, something, 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 blah, 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 blah. Okay, so now let us try to understand what actually this means is, okay, inheritance, what it means, and then we'll come back to this and then we'll try to understand this definition again. Okay, so just hold on. Okay, so here is our favorite screen, the Eclipse screen where we work. So now to discuss the concept of inheritance, we are going to create one more package. Okay, so why am I creating different packages? The reason being, this is required to understand what this public is, what is protected. These are known access modifiers. Will understand these definitions. Okay, so once to start understanding this, we'll have to, we must have some different packages created here. Okay, so that is why I'm creating packages here. All right, so this will be useful in future. So let me just create one package here. Just go to new and then click on package. Okay, here I'm going to write inheritance. Okay, inside this inheritance, we are going to create one class. So let me create one class as employee. Okay, so what we are going to do is in this class employee, I'm going to declare a variable whose name is salary. Okay, so it would be like this: int salary is equal to 30,000. Okay, just assume an ideal case where we are assuming that there is one company in which there are 30 employees. All the employees are working at the same salary of 30,000 rupees, and there is no hierarchy, there is no AM, no TL, no SSC, ASC. All the persons are at the same level. So we are just assuming that all the persons have same salary, and this is how we are declaring it. Employee is a class, as we know. Class as a whole, when we speak about this, is something we talk about general. Okay, we are not speaking something in particular. So employee can be any employee we are talking about. So employee is a class which refers here. Again, salary is the salary of all the employees, which is being represented by this salary variable whose type is int. Okay, this only one thing. Now this bracket and this curly bracket, these two brackets, this one marks the starting point of the class and this one marks the ending point of this class. Okay, this definition. Okay, so whatever salary variable which we have declared 30,000 here, its scope is confined between these two brackets only. Okay, it is not visible outside these brackets. This is known as scope, where the salary variable can be used. Okay, this salary variable can be used only inside these two brackets. Okay, now you see, if I declare one more class and I name it as programmer. Okay, I declare one class and its name is programmer. Anyone has any questions? Someone wants to ask something? Okay, guys, feel free anytime if you want to ask something. Okay, so you're always welcome to ask any question during the session, right? Okay, so here is one class programmer which I'm declaring here, and here I write something like int bonus. Okay, a bonus variable is being declared whose type is int, and this will be storing a value whose value is 5,000. Right? Very straightforward concept. Here I'm going to declare one main method. Main, as we discussed, if we want to write public static void main, just simply press main and then control space. Java will complete this for me. Yep, press enter. Okay, so Java writes for me public static void main. Now inside this, as we discussed, class is like a factory. Okay, whatever it creates, it is creating for its consumers. Who are the consumers? Objects are the consumers. Only objects are going to use the variables or the methods which we declare in a class. Okay, so where do we create those objects? We create those objects in main method. Okay, so I want to use this method. If I want to use this variable bonus, okay, so how will I use it? First, I'll have to create an object of programmer class. Okay, so how do we do it? As you know, we write class name, then object name. Okay, uh, in general English, okay, if I have to say, okay, a new employee Ajay needs to be recruited into the organization. How do we declare? How do we call it in Java? We'll say Ajay as the new object of the class programmer needs to be created. Okay, a new object Ajay needs to be created for programmer class. So this is how we write it. Programmer Ajay is equal to new programmer. Okay, this is equivalent to recruiting an employee into organization. Okay, so Ajay has been recruited into the organization as a programmer. Now, if I want to print programmer's bonus, how will I print it? We simply write this out and press control space. It writes system.out.println, and I write something like Ajay's bonus is equal to, so as we discussed, the variables or methods are only for objects, as a factory creates the product for consumers, so we use it. How do objects use the variables? Using the dot operator. So we write something like Ajay dot bonus. Okay, writing this Ajay dot bonus, that means this bonus value will be coming here and it will print it. If I run this method, okay, see, it is still running the previous method. It is still running the calculator method which we created. The Java is still pointing to that because this calculator class is still open, right? So it is still printing the output of that method. In the last week we ran this, right? We discussed method overloading. Sometimes this kind of situation arises in Java. Okay, so how do we handle that situation? As you can see, when I run this one, it is still running calculator. Okay, so to handle the situation, just click on this caret button, go to run configurations. Okay, once you click on run configurations, click on search. Once you click on search, now manually point to the class where you want your program to point to. Click on programmer inheritance. This is the class where we are currently working in. Click on this and click on OK and click on run. Okay, now it is printing Ajay's bonus is equal to 5,000. This is what we want to print. Now, if I want to print salary of Ajay, will I be able to access this variable salary 30,000? As such, no, because as I told you, these two brackets, okay, I just made the wrong drawing, just hold on. Okay, this is the starting bracket of the class definition, and this is the ending bracket of the class definition. So this salary variable is only confined between these two brackets. Now if I try to access this salary variable, I won't be able to do that. Okay, now inheritance comes into picture for us. Okay, it helps us in accessing the variables which are there on not only variables but methods also, which are there in other classes. How? Just see that. Okay, I write something here like extends employee. Okay, once I write extends employee, what does this mean? This programmer becomes the child class. This is what the Java terminology is. Okay, and employee becomes the parent class. Okay, so the concept of child and parent class comes into picture, that means we are speaking about inheritance. Okay, this concept has been taken from the real world only. Okay, as the children of our parents, we acquire some of the properties of our parents. Okay, the way we speak, the way we look, the hair color, eye color, all these properties are acquired by children from their parents. Similarly, and this is known as inheritance, similarly, all the variables and the methods which are declared in the parent class are extended to the child class when we use the concept of inheritance. How do we use the concept of inheritance? Using the keyword extends. Okay, so when I use extends child class, extends parent class, so the variable which has been declared in the parent class becomes visible to child class. That means the child class now can use all the stuff which has been written in the parent class. Okay, now if I declare programmer as the child class and employee as the parent class, now I can access the members of the parent class. Okay, so if I want to print the salary of Ajay, how can I write it? I can write something like this out, and control space, it completes it. I can write Ajay's salary is equal to plus Ajay dot salary. Right, so how am I able to access salary? As you can see, this salary is a type of variable of type int, and it belongs to employee class. This is what it says, but we are using it in the programmer class. How we are able to use this? We are able to use this because salary, which is in the parent class, can be used in the child class using the concept of inheritance. This is only possible due to this. If I just see this, if I remove this one, okay, it will start giving me error. If I take my pointer here, it will say salary cannot be resolved or into a field, because this visibility of salary is not there in programmer class. This salary variable cannot be used in programmer class, so that is why this error is happening. If I just again use this extends employee, now that error is gone. Okay, so in the concept of inheritance, we can access the members of parent class in the child class using the concept of inheritance. Okay, now if I run it, okay, you will see Ajay's salary is 30,000 and Ajay's bonus is 5,000. Now there is one thing here, I'm using plus sign here. Okay, what does this plus mean? This is known as concatenation. Okay, so what is concatenation? Let me just quickly give you an example. It is appending two things. Okay, so let me just quickly give you an example for this. This is a Java concept again. Okay, I'll quickly write main method here. Suppose I want to print something. I declare a variable string first name is equal to, I'm writing my name only, Dipinder. Again, I write something like string last name is equal to Bhatti. This is my last name. Okay, now if I want to print something like, just hold on. Okay, if I want to print something like my name is, this is the output, this is kind of output which I want. So how can we do it? Just write this out and write in the brackets, write my name is. Okay, so this is the thing which will be printed as it is. Now the value of Dipinder, the value of Dipinder, I suppose someone's mic is not on mute, so can you please all put your mic on mute? Okay, right, so if I want to print my name is Dipinder Bhatti. Okay, my name will be coming directly from these two curly brackets. Whatever we write between these two double quotes will be printed as it is. Now this Dipinder and Bhatti is to be taken from these two variables. Okay, I'm not writing these directly into these double quotes, or I'm not hard coding these values. So if I just write this way, if I want to print those values, I can write my name is double quotes plus first name. Okay, the same variables in which I stored my values plus last name. Okay, so now if I print this one and I run this, okay, it prints my name is Devinder Bhatti. Okay, so this plus is used for concatenation. Okay, so this is what the same thing is being done here. Okay, plus is playing the role of concatenation. It is appending two things together. Okay, so Ajay's bonus, which is there in the double quotes, is being printed directly, but these bonus and salary variable are coming from somewhere else. That is why we are using the concept of concatenation here. So this is the concept of inheritance, where we declare one class as child class. We do not declare something as parent class. There is no explicit way of declaring something as parent class. The class which we want to declare as child class, we just write extends employee after that. So this first name becomes the child class, the second name becomes the parent class. Okay, now here, like I have written, this is how you will see the examples in books or websites. Okay, but this is not how actually they are written in the organizations. Okay, I'm telling you both the concepts, how is it written in books and how is it actually written in organizations, so that you understand both of these concepts. Okay, in organizations you will not see two classes being declared in the same page. Okay, in the same page, I mean this same tab. This is employee tab, this is one tab. In one tab you won't see two classes being declared. Okay, so how will it be done in actual projects? It will be like, let me just remove this. Okay, in actual organizations they declare one class in one tab only. So for another class will be declared like this one, new class. So here let me write create one programmer class. Okay, so when I declare a programmer class, I'll just print that one and remove this one, and there are some extra brackets which we need to remove. What does it say? Okay, just hold on. Okay, so let me just remove this one, employee, and here I would write extends employee. Okay, and it says it has been declared already. That is fine, we've removed that. Control S, just hold on. Okay, okay, no error message is here. Okay, there is no error message, it just got stuck there. Okay, there is one cross being shown here, so we can ignore this. Okay, if there is no underline, that means everything is fine. Okay, so this is how your actually classes are going to be declared. They will be creating two separate classes. Here we created one employee class. As you can see here, in employee class we are just declaring one variable salary. There is nothing else. There is no main method or nothing. There is only one main method here in the programmer class. All right, and this programmer class is in turn interacting with the employee class. Okay, so when it is interacting with the employee class, with this class, employee class, okay, it is referring to that, and we are just declaring one main method here. Okay, so whenever there are two classes which are dependent on each other, there is only one method, there is only one main method which communicates with other class. Okay, so it signifies that there is only the two classes are interdependent. Okay, if there between two classes there is only one method, that means these two classes are interdependent. Something from one class is being used in other class. This is what it means. Okay, it is absolutely not necessary that all the classes must have main method. No. Okay, out of the two classes we see that there is only one class which is having main method. If I run this one, Okay, so everything is running fine, there is no error here. Okay, this cross just got stuck here, it is not going, so there is no problem. This happens sometime. Okay, so this is your concept of inheritance. Okay, now let us try to understand the definition which we saw. Okay, the definition says inheritance is it can be defined as the process where one class, okay, one class, here in our case it was the programmer class, one class acquires the properties of another class. This another class is the parent class. Okay, this was the employee class in our example, and this one class, okay, which is acquiring the properties of other class, this is the child class. All right, so child class is acquiring the properties of parent class. So this is the concept of inheritance. Now this concept of inheritance is further used in case of method overriding. Okay, so what is method overriding? Let us extend this concept further. Let me just remove these drawings. Okay, so what is method overriding? Let us try to understand. Let us see the definition of method overriding. It says if subclass is also known as child class. Okay, whether you say child class or subclass, this is one and same thing. Okay, so if a child class has the same method as declared in the parent class, it is known as method overriding in Java. This concept is similar to method overloading, which we discussed. The name also sounds very similar, method overriding and method overloading. Okay, so let us see what is this method overriding, what is the difference between method overriding and method overloading. But first let us see what is the definition of what is the concept this method overriding is. Okay, so as you can see, the definition says if the child class has the same method as the parent class, so this is known as method overriding. Now let us try to understand this with an example. Okay, so this method overriding is just an extension of inheritance concept only. Okay, so here in our parent class, which we discussed previously, we did not have anything except a variable salary. Now let us declare a method inside this one. So I'm going to declare one method, public void. Okay, we are yet to discuss what public is. We discussed void is a return type, that is, it signifies what kind of output of this method is going to be. Okay, we are yet to discuss what public is. I'll be coming to that. Okay, so public void greetings. Okay, I'm going to declare a method whose name is greetings. So what does it print? I'm just implementing a very small functionality. It is like hello employees. Okay, this method will be printed by this employee class. Now inside this programmer class, I'm also again going to declare a method. So where should I declare a method? If last time what we did, I told you, right, what is the basic structure of a class? Okay, what is the basic structure of a class? First of all, it has variables or fields. Okay, the first one is guys, just pay attention to one message which has been sent by Madhu. Just see that. Okay. All right. So the basic structure of a class is, the first we have fields or variables. Then we have constructor, and then we have variables. Sorry, methods. Okay. So this is the basic structure of a class. This is how it is going to be. Okay, so in our class, when we declared this programmer class, first we declared a variable or field, they are one and same thing. Okay, we declared a variable bonus whose value is 5,000. Now I'm not using the concept of constructor here to keep the things simpler. Okay, constructor eliminated just to keep the things simpler. And now I'm going to declare a method. Okay, so I write something like public void greetings. Okay, so what is the purpose here? I'm going to create two same methods. Okay, greetings and greetings here. As you can see, both of these methods have same name. They're chatting with, both are starting with the same name, public void greetings, and here also public void greetings. Exactly same thing. Their names are same. Their return type is same. There is no different. No, there is no difference. Okay, so I write something like sys out, and I write hello programmers. Okay, I'm just changing the implementation so that you can see what is the difference in output we get. Okay, but it is not going to change anything from calling point of view. When we call a method. Okay, so we're just going to we are just going to invoke greetings method. Okay, so now again bringing back the concept of factory. Okay, so what does factory do? Factory always produces the products for its customer. It doesn't produce it for itself. Similarly, class always produces its methods or variables for objects. Okay, so if I want to use this object greetings, who is going to use this greetings method? Object is going to use a greetings method. Okay, so I write something like Ajay dot greetings. Okay, Ajay dot greetings. So now when I call this method, calling means invoking this method. Okay, when I'm invoking this method, what should happen? Okay, will the control go here, the method in the child class which we declared, or will it go into the parent class? Because in both of these classes we have the same method greetings. Okay, whether their output is different, that is a different thing. Okay, I deliberately changed it so that you can see where actually the control is going. If I write here hello employees also, you won't be able to recognize whether this method is being invoked or the method which we declared in the employee class that is being invoked. Okay, I deliberately changed the output, but their name and their return type is exactly the same. There is no change in that. If I run this one, okay, it says hello programmers. Okay, so when it says hello programmers, that means when it is invoked, the control is coming here, the method which is there in the child class. Okay, two things here. Let me first tell you how the control is moving, then we will discuss why is it happening. Okay, when I click on this play button, what happens? Control looks for the main method. Where is the main method? It ignores everything here. Okay, it doesn't look whatever is bonus greetings. It doesn't matter for Java. Okay, so what it looks for is main method. So control directly comes here in the line number 15. Okay, here is this is the place where I've stated public static void main. Okay, in this main method I am declaring, I'm creating an object Ajay. Okay, so the control comes here, Java creates an object Ajay. Okay, then it sees that okay, something has to be printed, Ajay dot bonus. It goes to this. When Ajay dot salary is to be printed, control goes to the employee class. All right, then the control comes to, when the control comes to line number 19 where it says Ajay dot greetings, the control now looks for the place where the greetings method has been declared. Now this greeting methods has been declared at two places, once at this place in the child class and once at this place in the employee class. Now there are two options for Java to go and search for. Where will it go? Okay, this is the place where method overriding comes into picture. Okay, now when there are two methods with same name in parent class and child class, method overriding states that the child method always will have a precedence over the parent class. Okay, so the method which is there in the child class will have the precedence or preference in comparison to parent class. Okay, so when we run this greetings method, the method which is there in the child class that is being run and the method which is there in the parent class that is being ignored. Okay, so this is what is happening here. When I run this method and I click on this one, hello programmers is being printed instead of hello employees. Okay, this is your concept of method overriding. Okay, so let us try to see the definition again, and let us see, do we understand from this thing now? Now it should make some sense. Okay, it says if subclass, that is the child class, has the same method. Which same method? We had greetings, okay, in child class as well as in the parent class. Okay, if the child class in our case was programmers, has the same method as declared in the parent class, in our case it was employees, it is known as method overriding in Java. Okay, two methods with same name, and when the method is invoked, the child class takes the precedence. This is known as method overriding. Okay, moving on. Moving on to the next concepts, access modifiers. Okay, up till now you have seen we've written something like public static void main, public void greetings, public void sum. What does this public means? And apart from public, there are three other things as well. We've seen public, there is something known as protected, there is something known as default, and there is something known as private. Okay, so what do all these stuff mean? Let us understand this one. Remove these drawings. Coming back here. Okay, so access modifiers, there are four types. Okay, the first one being the most often used is public. Okay, so what is this public? Let me just write the definition for this one, and then we'll try to understand what does this mean. Okay, so when we say something is public, if we write public before anything, and when I say public, whatever access modifiers which we are going to discuss, this is only related to what we write inside this class. Okay, this is not related to public class. Okay, whatever we are going to discuss now, that is only applicable to whatever is written inside the class. Okay, whether we are writing public before a variable, or we are writing public before a method. Okay, so whatever we're going to discuss, this is only applicable to the things written inside the class. Okay, so public, when we write something that's public, public is an access modifier, and it makes all the or you can say public is accessible. It is accessible everywhere. Okay, if I what do I mean by it is accessible everywhere? Okay, if I write something like, okay, if I write something as public here, okay, I write public int bonus. Okay, so this bonus becomes public. That means its scope now is not only confined between these two brackets. Okay, these two curly brackets. When the definition of class ends, now the scope of this bonus variable does not end. The scope of variable has been made global. Okay, so what does this mean? Bonus is now is accessible within other classes as well. Okay, right now we have declared a variable bonus inside programmer class. Okay, which is this programmer class. Okay, programmer is inside inheritance package. Okay, when we discussed something about packages, we saw that packages are the things which combine similar classes together. Okay, if the classes have some relation between them, okay, then we combine them in similar packages. Okay, same packages. So now this bonus variable, which has been declared in programmer class, which is inside inheritance, just for an example, suppose I want to this bonus variable inside this print message method. Okay, if I want to access this method, I can, because this variable has been declared as bonus. How? Let us see this. I'll show it to you. Okay, similarly, when this method greetings has been made public, okay, so when this method is public, that means it is visible everywhere. When I say everywhere, that means it is visible in all the packages, in all the classes. Okay, so the thing which has been declared in inheritance demo in inheritance package in programmer class, now it is also visible in the demo package in print message or any other class which you can think of. Okay, whatever classes exist inside this project, inside these packages, it becomes accessible everywhere. How? Let me show it to you. Okay, now we are inside print message class, which is in demo method, the demo package. You can see demo package. We are inside this demo package. If I want something which has been declared public in programmer class, how can I do that? Let me show it to you. First, we'll import the class. We'll be writing something like import demo dot print message. Okay, so what does this mean? Demo stands for the package. Whenever we want to import a class in some other package, we have to write an import statement first, and its syntax is like package dot class name. So package is demo dot, no, sorry, I've written it wrong. The package and class which I want to access is, I want to access inheritance dot programmer. Okay, it is giving me all the options which I can access. Okay, I want to access this class programmer. Now this programmer class, in this programmer class, I want to access this greetings method. Just for an example, we want to use, due to some reason, I want to use this greetings method which is in programmer class. So first of all, as you know, if something is to be used of a class, an object has to be created for that. Okay, so we'll be creating an object of this programmer class. Okay, I'll be writing programmer. Let us now recruit one Vijay in our organization. Programmer Vijay is equal to new programmer. Okay, all right. Now when I have created a variable, I have created one object Vijay. Now if I write Vijay, just see, as soon as I press dot, it will start showing me the all the things which are public in programmer. Okay, first of all, bonus is public in programmer, right? So it is writing programmer. Object, just ignore everything. Just see whatever is, wherever you see programmer. Okay, greetings is public inside programmer class. Similarly, main method is also public in programmer class. Okay, out of this we want to access this greetings method. Okay, so just write Vijay dot greetings. Okay, now I am accessing a method which has been declared in other class, in other package, and I am accessing it in some different package, in some different class. Okay, now if I run this one, let us see, just see what happens. Okay, it is also printing that hello programmers method which has been declared in programmer class. Okay, so as you can see, just hold on. Okay, so this print message class is accessing this programmer class which is in some different package. Okay, so if we have to access this kind of stuff, if we want to have this kind of accessibility, we declare the variable or method as public. Okay, this is how its scope is being increased. Okay, we say that its scope has become global, or we can say that its accessibility has become everywhere, it is visible everywhere. Okay, so this is public. This is what we mean. Public is an access modifier. Okay, and this is a common interview question as well. Okay, so what do you mean by access modifiers? Okay, how many access modifiers do we have? Let us first discuss that, then I'll tell you what questions can be asked from in the interview. Okay, so this is your public access modifier. Now the next in turn is private. Private is just opposite to public. Private. Okay, if I declare something as private, it is accessible only within the class. Okay, if we declare something as private, it is accessible only within the class. Now let us see that. Okay, coming back to our concept of the place where we created these programmer and employee class. Okay, now suppose I declare this variable salary as private. So as soon as I declare this variable salary as private, save it, okay, go to programmer class, it will start throwing me an error. It says fields employee salary is not visible, even though we are using the concept of inheritance. Okay, even the child class cannot access the member of parent class even if it has been declared as private. Okay, so when we declare something as private int salary, that means salary variable has become accessible, or its scope has been just been limited to the same class only. Now this salary variable can only be used inside employee class. It cannot be used anywhere else. If I try to access it, I won't be able to. It will throw me an error. This is private. This is just opposite to public. Public makes the fields or variable visible everywhere, whereas in case of private, it restricts the visibility of the fields or variables to that class only. Okay, so in general the rule is, okay, until and unless there is requirement, the fields or variables are declared as private, and methods are generally public. This is how you will see the code in your organization if you move to organization in Selenium. Okay, so this is how you're going to see it. Methods will be generally public and fields would be generally, guys, just ignore any spelling mistake if there are, or you can point it also. Okay, so methods are generally public and fields are generally private until and unless there is some specific requirement. All right, like in here we have a specific requirement that this salary variable should be visible in the child class, so I'm not writing anything here. Okay, so when we do not write anything, either it is public or private, this becomes default modifier. Okay, so this is default modifier if you do not write anything. Default modifier. So what is a default modifier? Okay, if we do not use any keyword public, private or protected, it becomes default modifier. It is accessible only within the package. Okay, so it is accessible only within the package. That means, let's first save this one. Okay, we have declared the salary variable inside employee class, which is an inheritance package here. Okay, so the salary variable, if I do not write anything before salary variable, its access modifier becomes default. Okay, then that default variable can only be accessed within these three classes that they are, which are in the same package. Okay, so the concatenation class can access the salary variable, employee class can access, of course it is an employee class only. Okay, this programmer class also can access this salary variable. But if we are in some other package, this data types.java or print message.java class, if we are inside these classes, we won't be able to access this salary variable. How? Let me just show it to you. Okay, let us open this concatenation class when we are in the same package. When we are in the same package, so if I want to access that variable, so first I'll have to create an object of that. That is the mandatory thing. Okay, so I write something like employee Ajay, Vijay have been recruited. Now what? Ajay, Vijay, and Ram. Okay, then we'll recruit Sham also if required. Okay, employee Ram is equal to new employee. Now, if I try to write something like sys out Ram's salary, that is equal to plus ram dot salary. Okay, so you can see the salary variable from employee class is visible here. Why? Just because we've declared it as default. We did not write anything, so this became the default access modifier for this. If I run this one, this concatenation, okay, it says Ram's salary is 30,000. Okay, now let us go to some other package. I'm in the demo package. Inside this demo package, I go to print message. Okay, so when we are inside print message, you can see we are in some other package. Okay, now according to definition, I should not be able to access that modify. I should not be access the variable which is default, which is having default access modifier. Okay, so let us create the variable object of employee class as well. Okay, write something like employee. Ram has been recruited, now recruit Sham. That is equal to employee. Okay, so just take your pointer here. It will give you an option import employee. Okay, now if I try to print the salary of Sham here, because the salary variable contains the value 30,000, but it is a default modifier, and since we are in a separate package, we won't be able to access it. If I write this out, Sham's salary is equal to plus Sham dot. If I write dot, there is no option of salary. Okay, as you can see, no salary variable is visible here. Okay, there is one greetings method from employee class because it was public, that is why it is visible here, but there is nothing else from employee class. Why it is not visible? Because we are using default access modifier, and default access modifier states that if something is default, it is only visible, it is only accessible within the same package. This is what default access modifier means. If you do not state anything before a variable, it becomes a default access modifier, right? So since Sham has not received his salary, so I suppose it will be very difficult for him to sustain this month. Okay, good luck, Sham. Very bad to hear you that you did not receive your salary. Okay, so there's one question from Bindu. Why are we writing dot salary? Okay, good question, Bindu. Why are we writing dot salary? Okay, if something is to be accessed, we discussed that who can access the variables or method declared in a class? Objects. As factory produces its product for customers, class produces its objects, class produces its methods and variables for objects. Only objects can use it. Okay, now if a customer has to buy an iPhone, how does he purchases an iPhone? He goes to the Apple store, pays the money for Apple and buys it. Okay, how does it pay it? How does he pay it? He can pay it using his credit card or in cash. In case of Java, when we have to use the variables or fields of a class, dot is the cash or credit card equivalent. Okay, if a person has to buy an iPhone, he pays cash or credit card. If an object has to use the fields or variables of a class, he has to use the dot operator. Dot is equivalent to cash. Okay, but in case in case of Java, you can as many dots as you want. There is no restriction. You do not have to earn dots as you have to earn money. You do not have to earn dots. Dots are freely available. Okay, so whenever some method or variable is to be accessed, it can only be accessed using dot operator. Okay, just always keep in mind the real picture in mind. Okay, whenever you are trying to access something, okay, objects are equivalent to customers, class is equivalent to a factory, fields are what? These salary or variables, whatever we declare, fields or variables are same thing, or methods. Okay, if an object wants to access these variables, that is this is a variable or methods. Okay, so if I want to access something, if an object wants to access these, how can the object use it? Using the dot operator. Okay, as a person uses the cash or credit card, objects use dot operator to access those values. Okay, so we write in this way. We cannot directly write uh, Sham's salary or something. Okay, so Sham has to use a variable. It is like this one. Sys out Sham's salary is equal to plus Sham. Now Sham has to pay something. Sham has to use his credit card or money. So he uses dot. Dot is equivalent for cash or credit card. But since there is no, it is not visible, only greetings is visible. So the company is just saying, hello Sham, good to see you, but we don't have anything to pay you. Okay, so this is what happening with Sham. Very sorry to hear that. Okay, so this is why we use dot operator. Okay, so this was our third access modifier, that was default. The last one is protected. Protected. Now what does this do? When we declare something as protected, it is accessible within the package plus. What is plus? This functionality or this property of protected is same as for default. Okay, but it has some additional functionality for against default as well. This is same for default plus protected, plus what additional functionality does it have is, if we want to use something which has been declared as protected, if I want to use something, that variable in other package, we can use it but using inheritance. Okay, so this is what protected means. Okay, accessible within the package directly, plus outside the package but through inheritance. Okay, so let us try to understand this one. What does this mean? Again, now let us bother this salary variable again. Right now it is default, we are not using anything for this. If I write something like protected, okay, protected salary, int salary. Okay, now this salary variable has become protected. Within the class it is accessible everywhere. Okay, if I within the class, sorry, within the package it is accessible everywhere. So within the package, let us go to concatenation class. Concatenation class is within the same package as employee class is. So let us, okay, okay, now if I want to print, okay, I should not have deleted that value, that is actually the same thing. Control V, sorry, Control Z, Control Y. Yeah, this is fine. Okay, now the salary variable, you can see the salary variable is protected, but when I am in the concatenation class, okay, this ram salary, ram can still access that variable salary. Ram is still able to access that variable salary, because since even though it is in the employee class, the salary variable is in employee class and we are working in concatenation class, I'm still able to use this variable. Why? Because this is protected within the packages, it is accessible directly. There is no use of, there is no requirement of inheritance. But let us go to this print message class, which is in the demo package. Now here, if I want to use that salary variable, which is protected, okay, so we have to bring in the concept of inheritance. Okay, so let us write here extends employee. Okay, now for employee we already have an object Sham. Okay, so if I write something like, now Sham will receive his salary, he won't have to beg for money. Okay, so we can write Sham's salary is equal to plus the object Sham dot, sorry, okay, here I'm sorry, okay, here we are not going to create the object of parent class, but that of child class. Okay, I was mistaken here. Whenever we are using the concept of inheritance, okay, the object of child class is to be created. Okay, so who is the child class? Print message is the child class. Okay, so let's create an button object is already there for print message. Okay, so though it does not make sense, I'm still going to use that button dot salary. Okay, it doesn't make sense, but just okay, understand the concept. Okay, this button is an object of child class. Okay, and it is able to access the salary variable, which is in some other class, which in turn is in some other package. Okay, so this salary class, which is salary variable, which is in employee class, which is an inheritance demo. If we run this one, it should be able to run this one. Okay, so it says Sham's salary is 30,000. This is being printed. The only thing is we are using the object of child class. Okay, so this is what protected is. If I want to access a member outside the package, then it can be accessed only through inheritance if it is declared as protected. So these are the 4 access modifiers, and the questions which are asked in the interviews are, okay, what are access modifiers? Okay, if you tell them they are public, private and protected, generally people do not know what default is. Okay, everybody knows public, private and protected. They have heard something about it, that there exists something as public, exists something private or protected, but they do not know what default is. Okay, so keep this in mind. Okay, what is default access modifier? This becomes important because people just generally ignore it. Okay, so default access modifier is, it has the visibility within the package only. If we declare something as default, okay, we do not write default. If we do not write anything, if we do not write public or private or protected, it becomes a default access modifier. So if something is default, it is only visible within the package only. Okay, so keep this in mind. And the question is, what is default access modifier? Okay, so whenever you're going to have your interview for Selenium, it will comprise of 2 parts. First Java plus second Selenium. It will be a mixed interview. Okay, whenever you appear for the interview, it is not going to be only for Selenium. It will be Java plus Selenium. So from Java, they are only going to ask you questions from core Java part, whatever we are discussing, what is method overloading, what is method overriding, what are access modifiers. So these topics are important from interview point of view. Okay, yeah, of course we're going to use them in as concepts in our programming as well, but more importantly, they hold importance from interview point of view. Okay, so this was the concept of access modifiers, and we can close this one. Okay, now let us move on. Okay, so after this, let us see what do we have next in the kitty. We have arrays. So what are arrays? Let us see what the definition says. It says array is a collection of similar type of elements that have contiguous memory location. These definitions, when we first time read, they become very they look very technical. We do not understand them. Okay, once we understand these concepts by the way of an example, they become very easy to understand. Okay, so let us try to understand what these arrays mean by the way of an example. We'll write a code for this. Okay, let's create a class in this demo package only. Class. I'm going to close this one. Now, first, as you know, first of all, we always create a main method. This is always going to be the first thing which you write in Java. Okay, this is the entry point of a program where Java starts looking up for instructions. Whatever we write in main method, they act as instructions for Java. it looks for instructions in main method. The functionality is implemented in methods. Okay, whatever we write the functionality, that is written in the method, but instructions are there in main method only. So always whenever we click on the play button, Java is going to look for main method where it is. Okay, so this is always going to be there in our methods. We write something like main, press control space and enter. Okay, now suppose I want to store one value 20 inside a variable x. Okay, I want to use this one. That is fairly good. Okay, now if I have to store one more value, I write something like int y is equal to 25. That's fine. Okay, the requirement comes and I have to save one more value. Z is equal to 26. Sorry. Up to 3 variables still fine. I can store these values in these variables. But what if I have to store 25 different values in 25 different variables? So do you think will it be a better way of writing the code? No, it is not. Okay, there is no use of writing a b c d e f g h i j k l m n o p q r s t u v w x y z using for all these values. Okay, because this doesn't make a sense. So what we can do is, instead of using 20 different variables for 20 values, we can use the concept of arrays. So what does array do? We can write something like int with square bracket. This square bracket means it is going to be an array, one-dimensional array. Okay, because arrays can be of 2 dimensions, 3 dimensions as well. Okay, so we write it. If we write one bracket, it means 1 dimension. I'll explain what 2 dimension also means. 3 dimensions become difficult to visualize. You cannot visualize it. Okay, if you cannot visualize it, it becomes difficult to understand as well. Okay, so we'll restrict ourselves to 1 and 2 dimensions only, and this is what we are going to require in Selenium also. We do not require 3-dimensional variable arrays. Okay, so int a is equal to new int, and here I write 20. Okay, so what is happening here is, what does this mean? This square bracket signifies that this is going to be an array. A is the name of the array which we are creating. New int and 20. 20 signifies that it is going to contain 20 different values inside it. Okay, so in just one line we can state that 20 different values are required for storing 20 different variables. 20 different values. Okay, so 20 different variables would be created. Okay, so in memory inside your system, okay, just assume that this is a rectangle. Ignore my drawing skills. Okay, so these are 20 different spaces, contiguous memory locations inside your memory location. More than memory location, here they look like hilly terrain. Just ignore that. Just assume that these are 20 different contiguous memory locations inside memory. Okay, this is the first box, second box, third box, fourth box, and inside an array they are identified with a number. The first box starting with 0, this is known as index of an array. Okay, the first array starting with 0 index, next one is starting with the first index, third one is starting with the second index, last one will have the index 19. Okay, so all the arrays can be accessed by using their address. Okay, like when we stay in our homes, we have certain address associated with our homes. Similarly, arrays have an address associated with their places. Okay, so the first array always starts with the address 0, and the last array always starts with one less from the maximum value what we state here in this bracket. Okay, since it is starting with 0, of course it is the last values will be going to have one less value than the maximum value. Okay, so this is how internally your array is stored in the memory. Okay, now if I want to store some values inside array, how do we store those values? We write something like a0. Okay, so when I say a0, that means we're going to the first address of the array is equal to 20. Now I'm storing the 20th value 20 inside the first array a0. Okay, now if I want to access the second array, a1 is equal to 25, so a2 that is equal to 26. Okay, this way we do not have to specify 20 different variables for storing 20 values. We just declared an array that it is going to store these values. Now when we write something like int and then square bracket, that means it is going to store only int type of values. It will not store any string values. If I have to store string values, I'll be writing something like string. Okay, string, let us say names is equal to new string and 20. Okay, that means it is going to store some 20 different names which are of type string inside this array. Okay, so if I want to add some values here, I can write something like names. Okay, just keep in mind it will again start with 0. Name 0 is equal to Ajay, Vijay, Ram, Sham have been created. Now what? Now let us come to actors. Shah Rukh Khan. Okay, after this, names 1 that is equal to the superstar Rajnikant. Okay, so this way we can keep adding values into the inside the second array. So the type of values which it is going to store, we specify those values first. Okay, I'm sorry guys. So the type of values which it is going to store, we specify those values by writing the type of values it is going to share, like string or int. Okay, and then it follows a single bracket. Now I told you that single bracket means it is going to be a single dimension array. So what is a single dimension array? We can look it in Excel sheet. Okay, a single dimension array looks like a single column of Excel sheet. Okay, just see in the middle, this is better. Okay, single dimension array is a single column of an Excel sheet. So when we are storing names inside the single dimension array, so this is how they are going to be stored inside single dimension array. Shah Rukh Khan. Okay, the next value was stored as Rajnikant. Okay, so this is a single dimension array. Just in case if I write something like string double brackets and data is equal to new string. Okay, now when I write these two brackets, that means it is going to be a two-dimensional array. So what is a two-dimensional array? In our case, if we have more than one column, okay, so if I state that Shah Rukh Khan lives in Mumbai and Rajnikant, I suppose, lives in Chennai, right? Yeah. Okay, so when we have, when I can move vertically where my data is being stored plus horizontally, right? Here in our case we have only two columns, so just let us restrict ourselves into two columns only. So when I can move vertically plus horizontally, so that means it is a two-dimensional array. This is how it will be stored in your memory. Okay, two-dimensional array, vertical plus horizontal movement, but one-dimensional array, only vertical movement, only in one column. So this is what your one-dimensional array is. But we'll come to that. Okay, two-dimensional array is required when we come to the concept of data-driven framework. We'll be seeing this two-dimensional array. Till that, we won't be using two-dimensional array. We'll be using one-dimensional array only. So it serves much of our purpose. One-dimensional array. We rarely use two-dimensional array, but just to help you visualize what two-dimensional array is, I just wanted to show it to you. How does it look like? Okay, so two-dimensional array is going to look like two columns in your Excel sheet where you can move horizontally plus vertically. Okay, and of course we specify the rows and columns. The first bracket stands for rows, so let us say 5 rows and 6 columns. Okay, first bracket stands for rows, second for columns. This is going to be always this way. First bracket for rows, second for columns. All right. So these are your arrays, and let us see the definition again. Okay, it says arrays is a collection of similar type of elements. Okay, first array which we created, in which we were storing integer values. In that integer array we created, all the values were of similar type, they were of integer value only. And then we created a string array where I was storing names. Okay, that array was also storing similar type of values, Shah Rukh Khan, Rajnikant. These are just a combination of characters which we are saving. Okay, so these are similar type of elements. Similarly, when we create a two-dimensional array, the values which we are going to store, they are always going to be of same type, whether they are string, double, int, depends. But whatever the value which we choose, they're always going to be of same type. Okay, similar type of elements that have contiguous memory location. This is something internal. This is how your memory is saved in your arrays, in case of arrays. Okay, so we do not need to look into how it is being stored inside in our computers. Okay, but what we need to understand is it is a collection of similar type of elements, and we just declare it once and we use it again and again. All right, so this is your concept of arrays. Now let us move on to last concept of Java which we are going to study. This is loops, for loop and while loop. So what are for loop and while loop? Let us quickly see that, and after that we are done with the Java part. Okay, so here as you can see, I have added 3 values into the array name A, and I have added 2 values inside the array named names. So if I want to print these values, how can I print these values? Okay, there are 2 options. First, I can write sys out A0. Okay, this is one way. Just copy it, copy it. Okay, so just change this value A0, A1, A2. Now, as you can see, the only value which is changing is A0, A1, A2. Rest everything is remaining same. System.out.println A. After this point, everything is same, right? And this place is also same. This closing round bracket and closing square bracket plus semicolon, this is also same. The only thing which is changing is that 0, 1 and 2. If there is some way we can change only this value but everything remains same, then we can print these values multiple times. Okay, if we just start a counter that this 0, 1, 2, as you can see, 0, 1, 2 are just continuous numbers, right? So if I write something, okay, that these values are increased one by one by themselves, okay, so it will save my effort. Okay, so to do this, there is a concept of for loop which does the same job for us. So what do we need to do? We write something, we use a for loop. For loop has a syntax like this one: for int I is equal to 0. Let me just write it and then I'll explain what does this mean. Int I is equal to 0, I less than 3, and I plus plus sys out, that is system.out.println A. So instead of 0, 1 or 2, I'll just write I. So what does this mean? What I've written here, I've written 3 things. First of all, int I is equal to 0. That means there is one variable I which is of type int and its starting value is 0. Why 0? Because our value is starting from 0 only, A0. This is what I want to iterate through. Okay, I0, then I less than 3. This is the maximum limit, this is the maximum times by which I want to iterate through this value. Okay, I3. Okay, because there are 3 values, 0, 1 and 2. So that is why I'm stating 3 values. And I plus plus. I plus plus means increase the value by 1 every time. Okay, because first it is 0, then increase by 1, then increase by 1 again. So this is what it means. This is this condition which we specify for 0, maximum condition, starting condition, maximum condition, increment. Okay, so this is start, maximum condition, and this is the increment which we want after each iteration. Okay, so what happens here is, first the value of I is equal to 0 is taken, and it goes to the control goes to this line, system.out.println, and instead of I, the value of I will be replaced by 0, this one. Okay, so when it is replaced by 0, it becomes A0. What is A0? A0 is 20. Okay, after it prints this one, the control goes here, it sees that the for loop has finished its statement, so it again goes to starting of for loop again. So this is for loop, this is a loop, the control keeps moving back and forth again and again. Okay, so once I is equal to 0 has been executed, its value will be incremented by 1, I plus plus. Here we are specifying by how much do I want to increase the value. I want to increase the value by 1, so I plus plus. Okay, then when the value of I is increased by 1, it becomes 1. Now it checks the condition. Is 1 less than 3? Yes, 1 is less than 3. The condition is true. The control again goes inside this value, system.out.println, and it prints A1. So when it prints A1, the control comes here, A25. Okay, this is what A1 is. So it prints A1, that is 25. Okay, after printing this, it again, the control comes back here, the ending bracket of for loop. Okay, so after the ending bracket of for loop, the control again goes back to the starting point of for loop. Since this is a loop, again the control comes back. Okay, and it says it again increments the value of I by 1. First it was 1, now it becomes 2 when it is increased by 1. So when it is increased by 1, the condition is again checked. Is 2 less than 3? Yes, 2 is less than 3. So control again goes inside the line number 17. It prints its system.out.println A2. So when it prints it, control comes here, A26. Okay, 26 is printed. Okay, once it prints 26, it encounters this closing bracket of the for loop. Again it comes back here. Okay, for loop, it again comes back here. Now it increments the value of I again. Okay, now the value of 2 becomes 3, but it again checks the condition. Is 2 less than 3? Sorry, 3 less than 3? No. When the value of 2 becomes 3, the condition is checked. Is 3 less than 3? No, 3 is equal to 3. Condition does not satisfy, so this value is not executed. This statement is not executed. Control comes out of this for loop. That means all the values of for loop have been exhausted. Now control comes here to line number 20, and then ultimately to line number 22, where the execution halts. So if we run this one, just see what happens. Okay, so the value 20, 25, 26, which are there inside the array A, they are being printed. Okay, so this is your for loop. Okay, similar to this, we have one while loop as well. Okay, so what does this while loop do? While loop also does the same stuff, but here this way of specifying the condition is different. There is some question, let me see. Okay, so Bindu is asking, can we write int I is equal to 0, I plus plus, I less than 3? No, Bindu, we cannot write it this way. Okay, what Bindu is asking is, can we write something like for int I is equal to 0, I plus plus, and I less than 3? No, we cannot write it in this way because this second place has been reserved for maximum condition, which the condition which we specify that how many times the loop is to be implemented, and the third place is to reserved for increment only. Okay, so we cannot interchange these values. Okay, guys, I just request you, just in case if any of you have your mics in unmuted situation, okay, just mute them all. Okay, let me just mute you all. Okay, so I've muted you all just in case if you want to ask you any question, you can unmute yourself and then you can ask the question. Okay, sometimes, because why did I do this? Because sometimes a very high pitched value, high frequency voice comes in, and as I'm using my headphones, so it is very, hard to take that high frequency sound. Okay, it just like pierces through your ears. So that is why I put all of you on mute, just in case you want to ask a question. Just unmute yourself and you can ask a question. All right. Now, while loop. I'm going to create a class of while loop also, while demo. Quickly create a main method. Okay. Let us declare something as int I is equal to 0. Okay, and I write something like do. Okay, this is its syntax, how we write it. Do sys out. Let us just print something. I is plus I. So it is just going to print 1 2 0 1 2 3, nothing else. Okay, and we write something like I plus plus, and we specify here while I is less than 5. Okay, as you can see, the syntax has been modified a little bit. Okay, the maximum condition is being checked at the end, the increment condition is being put in the first. Okay, and the starting condition is being specified. It has been put in pieces. Okay, in for loop we are putting all the conditions at one place, but in case of while loop we are putting all the condition pieces at different places. If I run this one, okay, it is printing 0 1 2 3 4. All right, so but there is an inherent drawback here. Okay, what we are doing is we are checking the maximum condition, how many times it has to run at the end. Okay, it is checking that it has to run all, it has to run through all these values. This condition is being checked at the end. Just in case, just assume that if I write something like I is equal to 6, okay, and if I run this one, still the value of I is being printed, but I stated that the condition, I stated that it should be only run if I is less than 5. Okay, but it's still printed I is equal to 6. Why? Because the condition is being checked in the end, but this do condition comes before it runs it. So in while loop, your statement is executed at least once because your condition is being checked at the end. Okay, it will be run at least once. So this is the drawback of while loop, that the condition is checked at the end, so it will at least run at least once. Okay, and the one other drawback is sometimes if we do not specify the condition in a correct manner, it runs into infinite loop. Okay, we have to be very careful by specifying while loop. So most often we use for loop only because stating the conditions for for loop is very easier. Okay, using a while loop, sometimes we run into infinite loop, so we just generally avoid it. Okay, so this is how we write while loop. I just wanted to show you its syntax. So this is your for loop and while loop, and this is how we just end the concepts which are required for Java. Right, so after this we can move on to Selenium WebDriver. So guys, if you have any question to ask, you can ask me. Okay, something related to Java in the previous session or in today's session, or otherwise we can move on to Selenium WebDriver. This was your last slide in Java. Okay, there's no further slide after this one. So this was our Java. Okay, you can think something. If you come up with something, let me just have some water meanwhile. Okay, I suppose there are no questions, so we can move on to Selenium. Okay, so when we are going to start with Selenium, we'll have to start with some of the basic commands of Selenium. So how we are going to learn Selenium? We'll be learning Selenium in parts. Okay, all the different parts what are required for Selenium. First we'll learn those parts, At the end we'll combine them, and then we'll create an actual program how we write in Selenium. Because when we write a Selenium program, it includes at least 7-8 concepts. If we start directly from those 7-8 concepts, it will be complete mess. You won't understand a simple thing. So I'm not going into that manner, okay, because I just want to make sure that you understand each and everything whatever we do inside the class. So we'll be doing this stuff one by one, learning one by one. Okay, as a kid is put in a school, first he's taught that alphabets are A B C D E, how they are pronounced. Then after the child learns A B C D E, we start combining those alphabets to create words. Okay, similarly we'll learn the concepts individually. After we learn these concepts, we'll combine them to create different programs. That's it. This is how our approach is going to be, and this is the best approach. Okay, so moving on. So what do we need to learn in Selenium? First of all, to start with Selenium, okay, so to welcome you into the world of Selenium, there are something known as open and click commands, verification commands, locator commands, and wait commands. Very important of these is locator commands. This is the base of your Selenium. Locator commands. If you understand locators, that means you understand Selenium. Okay, Selenium is nothing for you. Selenium only stands on the foundation of locators only. Okay, and it is not difficult. I'm not saying that locators is difficult. I'm just saying this is the foundation of Selenium. That's it. Okay, so most of the time in our lecture today, we are going to spend on locators only. Okay. So being like these nerdy kids, okay, the obedient kids, we are going to study what do we have in Selenium. Okay, coming back here. Okay, let me just remove this values. Don't save. No, I do not want to save this one. Don't save. Okay, so let me take you through the steps what we follow in test scripts manually first. Okay, suppose I want to test an application, our favorite facebook.com, everyone's favorite facebook.com. In Selenium, first we are going to start with Firefox. Okay, why Firefox? Firefox is the most developer friendly browser, we know it. Okay, and when Selenium was first created, it was created for Firefox only. So all the scripts which we are going to create, first we'll write them Firefox, but those same scripts can also be run on Chrome and Internet Explorer as well, or any software, any browser you want to run. Okay, all the scripts will be compatible with all the browsers, but we'll start with Firefox. To learn with Firefox, then we'll move on to the other browsers as well. Okay, because Firefox is the simplest one to learn with, to start with. Okay, so in our test scripts, the first step is always going to be opening the browser. Remember that. Okay, the first step is always going to be opening the browser. This, let me just write it on Excel sheet. We need this one. Step. Okay, let me no, instead of step, let me write serial number, step, and Selenium syntax for that. Serial number doesn't require this much space. All right, fine. Okay, so the very first step in our Selenium is going to be opening the browser. Okay, so what is the corresponding Selenium syntax is, we write something like WebDriver driver is equal to new Firefox driver, and that's it. Okay, so when we write something like WebDriver driver is equal to new Firefox driver, so what does it do? It opens a new Firefox window. That's it. So we just write one line, WebDriver driver is equal to new Firefox driver. Now what is this WebDriver is? This WebDriver is a class inside Selenium. Technically it is an interface. Okay, interface is a special kind of class inside Java. Not going into those details because we do not require it. Okay, WebDriver is a, you can say, special type of class inside Java which can take different forms. Okay, here I'm writing WebDriver driver is equal to new Firefox driver. Driver is an object of class which we are creating. Driver is an object of WebDriver class. This is similar to writing when we wrote class object is equal to new class. This is the same thing which we are writing. So instead of driver, you can write anything you want. Okay, you do not want to write driver, that's fine. You can write car also. WebDriver car is equal to new Firefox driver. That is, the choice is yours, whatever you want to write, but generally accepted word is driver. Okay, if you search on websites or if you search Selenium text, and any textbook is there, any website you search, you'll find they will write driver as the object, because this is the most accepted terminology in the organizations. Okay, but there is no restriction on that. You can write car, you can write happy Diwali, happy new year, happy Christmas, whatever you want. Okay, so WebDriver driver is equal to new Firefox driver. Driver is a object of this WebDriver class, and we write is equal to new Firefox driver. Okay, so as I said, this is WebDriver is a special type of class, so that is why we can write WebDriver driver is equal to new Firefox driver. If it were not a special type of class, then we would have to write WebDriver driver is equal to new WebDriver, right? Since we are writing WebDriver is equal to new Firefox driver, why we are writing this, why we are able to do this, because this WebDriver is a special type of class. Okay, if it were a simple class, we would have to write WebDriver driver is equal to new WebDriver. We would not be able to write Firefox driver. Okay, so as we are writing Firefox driver, it opens a Firefox window. Just in case if I write Chrome driver, it will open a Chrome window. As you can guess logically, okay, no practice for guessing. And if I write WebDriver driver is equal to new Internet Explorer driver, it will open Internet Explorer window. Easy and logically correct, right? So let us write this. Let us try to write this in our code. Let us see what happens if I write this line of code. Close this one, close this one, close this one. So we're done with Java basics. So we are okay. So Bindu is asking one question: is it case sensitive? Yes, Bindu, it is case sensitive. As you can see, I've written web, then I've written D in capitals, right? So this, we have to write it in this way only. This is case sensitive. Okay, Firefox driver, as you can see, F is capital, D is again capital. So this is case sensitive. We have to write it in this way only. Okay, so let us create a new package here. So how do we create it? First, go to file, go to new, then new, and then go to Java project. Now we are going to write something as Selenium. This is the place we are going to start with the much awaited Selenium. This is why we were learning our Java up till this point. Okay, Selenium. Once the project has been created, right click on that and create a new package. So let us write this package as demo. Inside this package, we are going to create a class, new class. As always, we have done this earlier also. Okay, so we're going to create a first program here in Selenium. So just name it as first Selenium program. Okay, as always here in Selenium also, we are going to write the first line as main method, main control space, enter. Okay, now I told you that we have to write the first line, which we are going to write is WebDriver driver is equal to new Firefox driver. Now it gives me an error. If I take my pointer here, it will not recognize it. It says WebDriver cannot be resolved to a type. It does not recognize it. The reason is this one. Why it does not recognize it? Because Selenium was created by someone else and Java was created by someone else. Very simple. Java was created much earlier before Selenium. It was created by Java team. Selenium was created by Selenium team. It was created around in 2007 beginning, and Java existed much before that. Okay, so probably the person who created this Selenium, before his birth, Java existed. Okay, so they were created at much different times, and but different people in different teams. Okay, so since these were created by different people and different teams, Java inherently does not recognize what WebDriver is. Internally, it recognizes what public means, what package means, what class means, what static means, what main means, what void means, but it does not understand what WebDriver means. How do we make it understand that WebDriver is something which it has to understand? How do we tell Java? Okay, to establish the communication between Java and Selenium, we have to something we have to introduce something that is known as jar files. What are jar files? Jar files actually contain the definition what WebDriver means. Okay, as you can see, this public and class, internally Java knows what public and class means. How does it know? As you can see, there is JRE system library. Whenever we create a project, this library comes free of cost everywhere. Okay, we did not ask for it, but it is coming free every time. Okay, so it is created every time when we create a new project. Inside this JRE system library folder, it contains the definition for keywords. This public, class, public, static, void, these are keywords. Okay, these are the reserved words which we cannot use, but only Java can use. Okay, we cannot change its use, we cannot modify its use, right? So JRE system library, if you open this one, you will see it says resources.jar, rt.jar, jscc.jar. So these are jar files which contain the definition about public, class, package, all the keywords. It knows what to do when it encounters public or static or void. Okay, but it does not know what WebDriver is or what Firefox driver is. To make it understand, we add external jars, we add jars from our side. Okay, now the question is from where to install these jars, from where to download these jars. So as you can guess, the jars would be available at Selenium website. Okay, so just write seleniumhq.org. This is the official website. Go to download, just scroll a bit. You will see Selenium under these places. There would be some languages written: language Java, C Sharp, Ruby, Python, JavaScript. Okay, you have to download this file. Just click on this download. Okay, so what does this contain? Just you have to keep in mind that you are clicking the download button for Java corresponding to Java value, because we're working in Java, right? So you have to click on this Java and you have to click on this download. Once you click on these downloads, these actually contain your jar files which establish your communication between Java and Selenium. Okay, so you can see the latest version is 2.53.0. Click on this one and you will download a file. I already have it, I'm not going to download it. Okay, just let me show it to you. Just click on this download button. It will start downloading Selenium Java 2.53.0. Okay, but I'm going to cancel this one because I already have it. Okay, once you download it, it will look like this one. Selenium Java 2. I'm using 2.47.0. I'm using an old one, okay, because my Firefox is also old one. Just one thing more, okay, there are frequent versions or updates which keep coming for Firefox. As you might have noticed, if you are using Firefox, after every 3-4 days, a new update is there for Firefox. Okay, if you're using the latest version of Firefox and latest version of Selenium, the chances are it will run fine for 3-4 days. After 3-4 days, it will start giving you problem. Reason is Firefox keeps updating its browser very frequently, and there are no frequent updates from Selenium also. Okay, so the speed between their releasing the updates is different. Firefox releases its update quite frequently, whereas Selenium does not do it that frequently. Okay, so just in case today, if you start working with Selenium for Firefox 45, I assume the current version of Firefox is 45, and if you download this Selenium 2.53.0, if it is running fine, that is fine. Okay, after 1 week or 2 weeks, your code may not work. It may start giving you an error, Firefox binary execution, some these kind of error will be coming. Okay, why this is coming? Whenever you see something like Firefox binary error, let me just write it here. Firefox binary error. Okay, this is some big message. I don't remember the exact keyword. Let me just, if you want, let me just show it to you. What it has. Okay, Firefox binary Selenium WebDriver. Okay, there is one error message associated with it. Yeah, this one cannot find Firefox binary in path. Let me just find. Yeah, this one cannot find Firefox binary in path. Make sure Firefox, I suppose this is what he has written. Make sure Firefox is installed. Okay, you will get this kind of error message. If you get this message, that means there is incompatibility between your Firefox and Selenium. Incompatibility between Firefox and Selenium. Okay, this happens because updates are quite frequent from Firefox. Now to avoid that situation, what you can do is, and you must actually do this. Okay, go to your Firefox once you install it. Okay, go to your Firefox and there is one this question mark. Go here, go to about Firefox. Okay, as you can see here, mine version is 39. I have restricted it to 39. You can stop the automatic updation for Firefox. By default, your automatic updation is on for Firefox. How can you switch it off? Go to the settings button, go to options. Okay, there is one advanced place. Go to advanced. Okay, by default, this automatically install updates will be checked. Uncheck this one and click on never check for updates. Okay, so stop your Firefox at a place where your Firefox plus Selenium combination is working. For me, Firefox 39 plus Selenium 2.47.0 is working. All right. Stop your auto updation of Firefox and just note down what Selenium version is working for you. Okay. If currently, suppose you download the latest one. Okay. Today, after this session, if you download the Selenium 2.53.0 and if it is working with your Firefox, just note down this combination because this will be required. After 1 week, something may happen and it may not work. Okay, so you'll have to download the latest the previous version of Firefox which was working for you. So this combination is working for me, so I've restricted myself to this only. I do not update my Firefox or Selenium because I know there are incompatibility errors which happen. Okay, so this is one thing which you have to do. All right, so as I said you, I'm using Selenium 2.47.0, Selenium Java 2.47.0. This folder, if you open, this contain your jar files. First of all, there are two jar files outside this libs folder. Okay, jar file. If you open this libs folder, there are many jar files. So these jar files actually contain your definition about Selenium. Whatever we are going to write, whatever we're going to implement using Selenium, this has been defined in these jar files. Okay. Now going back to our code, just see that there is only one folder JRE system library here. Okay, after we create a project in Java basics also, there is one folder JRE system library. It was coming, it is coming, it gets created every time when we create a new project. All right. Now if I have to add some external jars, how do we do it? Right click on this project in which you want to add external jars. Right click on Selenium, go to properties, go to Java build path. Okay, then there is one libraries option, right? Third tab, open this libraries folder. There you will see the JRE system library, same folder which we have here. Okay, now here we have to click on add external jars. Click on add external jars. So just locate the folder where you have your Selenium jars. So this is my Selenium Java 2.47.0. Open this one. So these are two jar files which are outside libs folder. Include this one. And in addition to this, there is one libs folder, okay, in which we have many jar files. Include this one. Click, just press Ctrl A and press open. Click open. Again, then click OK again. Okay, so now you will see there is one more folder which got created here. It says reference libraries. These reference libraries now contains Selenium jars. All the values all the definitions regarding Selenium are there in Selenium jars. Okay, now if I take my pointer here, okay, now it gives me an option, import WebDriver org.openqa.selenium. So this means that this is coming from Selenium. So just click on this one. So you see that one import statement is coming, import org.openqa.selenium.webdriver, right? Similarly, there is one Firefox driver. Just take your pointer here and click on import Firefox driver. So now it is there. Okay, so just to address your question, there was one question asked by Bindu, is it case sensitive? If I write everything in small case, you'll see it won't recognize this one. Okay, it does not recognize it. Firefox driver cannot be resolved to a type, and there is no option to fix it as well. Okay, so we'll have to always write it in correct way only, because this is case sensitive. Firefox driver. Right, now this is the first line of code. And I told you this is used to open your new Firefox window. Okay, I'm going to close this one. Okay, now if we run this, you will see new Firefox window will get opened. Run this. Okay, so here a new Firefox window got opened, but it is not navigating to any place. Okay, because we haven't asked it to navigate to any place. We just told it that it has to open a new Firefox window, and that's it. Then this is what it is showing. Okay, it is opening a new Firefox window only. All right, then coming on to the next step. After we open a window, what do? We go to a certain website. We have to go to our application which we want to test. Okay, so it is called as navigating to website. Okay, how do we navigate to a website? We write driver dot get. This is the way we write it. Okay, driver dot get, and inside these two round brackets we write two double quotes, and here we specify the address of the website to which I want to navigate to with HTTP or HTTPS, whatever security level the website is using. So Facebook uses HTTPS colon double slashes www.facebook.com. Okay, so we have to include the complete address. Okay, now let us include this address in our code, and let us see does it navigate to that facebook.com or not. So we write something like driver dot get, okay, or what you can do, instead of writing it manually, just navigate to the website first. Okay, now copy this address and paste it in your code. Okay, so as you can see, https www.facebook.com needs to be written. Now let us run this one. Let us see what happens. Okay, now it is also navigating to facebook.com. First it opened the Firefox window. Now it is also navigating to facebook.com page, and that's it. Two steps we have asked it to do. These two steps have been performed. Now after this, the third step is going to be the third step is going to be entering your credentials. Okay, we have to enter our credentials at these places, email text box, then there is one password text box. Okay, this place where we can enter a value, we can write something, this is known as a text box. Okay, similarly this password is a text box, and this login button. Okay, now what we have to do once we arrive on this page, we have to tell Facebook that it has to select this particular text box, this one, and it has to enter some value. Then after that it has to select this one, this password text box, it has to enter some value, then it has to click on this login button. Okay, as you can see there are 5 other text boxes as well: first name, surname, your mobile number, your re-enter mobile number, new password. So there are 5 other text boxes as well. Okay, so how do we tell Selenium that out of these total 7 text boxes, it has to first focus on the first text box, then it has to focus on second text box, ignoring all other text boxes. It has to enter the values inside these text boxes. How do we tell Selenium? Okay, there must be some way, right? Yeah, there is one way. All the text boxes or all the buttons on a web page are identified uniquely with an ID. Okay, like all the employees in an organization are referred to by employee ID, right? Similarly, all the things which are there on a web page, they are identified with an ID. Similarly, not only these text boxes, this drop down boxes, these radio buttons, all these things are being identified on a web page. Okay, in fact, these links, this why do I need to provide my date of birth, all these terms, cookie use, data policy, everything is being identified with a unique ID by which they are being identified on this web page. Okay, so we use this property. We say that, okay, go to employee ID 34, ask him what is his name. Go to employee ID 40, ask him what is his salary. Go to employee ID 45 and ask him when he's going to take leave. Okay, so when we just say that, it has to go to some employee ID and ask certain question. Employee ID is always going to be unique in an organization. Similarly, address or IDs associated with these things on a web page are always going to be unique. So these are how they are going to be identified. Now, as I stated that this is known as a text box, this is known as a drop down box. Okay, so we can select some certain value. This is a drop down box. Similarly, this is a radio button, and this is a simple button. This is a text link. Okay, all these stuff on a web page collectively or in general term, they are known as web elements. Okay, so when I say there are many web elements on a web page, I could be talking about a text box, or I could be talking about a drop down box, or I could be talking about a radio button or a simple button or a link text. Okay, so web element can be anything. Text box, this is a web element, this is web element, this button is a web element. So anything which is there on a web page is a web element. All right, one more thing which is associated with these web elements is, instead of web elements, sometimes people call them as objects also. Okay, these objects are entirely different from what we studied from Java perspective, classes and objects. No, we are not talking about those objects. These objects are same as web elements. Either you call them as web elements or you call them as objects, they are one and same thing. Okay, if someone says there are 2 objects on the web page, that means he's talking about either there are 2 text boxes or there are 2 buttons on the web page. Okay, so web element or object, they are one and same thing in on a web page. Okay, so from here onwards we'll be using the terminology as web element. Okay, this is how this is generally the accepted terminology, that all the things which are located on a page, they are called as web element. All right, so this text box is a web element, this button is also web element, this drop down box is also web element, or you can call them as objects also, but most often generally they are called as web elements. All right, so this is how they are going to be this is how they are going to be termed. All right, now I told you, right, these all the text boxes are identified uniquely on a web page. How do we identify them? Okay, if you right click on these web elements, click on inspect element. Okay, you can see when id is equal to email is written, that means this is the way by which this text box is being identified uniquely. Similarly, if you click on this first name and right click on this one, click on inspect element. Okay, you see that id is equal to u underscore 0 underscore 1. This is being used for to identify this text box. Okay, there are of course there are certain other values as well, but these are some values by which they are being identified. Okay, how they are identified, how they are used in Selenium, we'll discuss it in tomorrow's session, because today there's no use of starting that concept. Okay, so I won't be starting it today, we'll be starting it with tomorrow. All right, just wanted to show that every web element on a web page is being identified by a unique id. Okay, we'll go through these concepts tomorrow, how it is defined, how do we use these properties. Tomorrow we'll see that. Okay, now this is your Selenium part. I asked you also that please download that BlueJ software also, right? If you have downloaded BlueJ, let's just discuss few of the things which are there in BlueJ software, because I want you that you also go through that BlueJ software. That is very important. I mean, good for you. If you do it, it will be good for you. Not mandatory, of course. Okay, let me just show it to you what you have to do. All right, this is, let me just close this one. Project, open project, go upward, chapter 1. Okay, just start from chapter 1. If you open chapter 1, they'll be stating that you have to, I suppose it is starting with figures only. Okay, if you download that book also, the PDF book which I asked you to download, it has only 2 chapters in the trial package. Okay, if you download that book, it will ask you to do something. Okay, they've written the code, they'll ask you to modify the code. Okay, modify this code, modify that code. These all are classes which they have created: circle, square, triangle, person. If I click on this circle, okay, I can see the code. Okay, if I right click on this one, I click on new circle, name of the instance it is asking, click on OK. Okay, and if you click on make visible, void make visible. Okay, so now it becomes visible. The default color has been set for it as blue. Okay, so this is an interactive way of learning the concept of objects and classes. It is entirely up to you. If you want to do it, if you have time, you can do it. If you want to do it, I just ask you, just please go through the first 10 exercises of the first chapter. Okay, tomorrow if you have any doubt, we can discuss that one. If any of you comes with a problem, faces a problem that you are not able to solve some problem, we can discuss that, right? So if you want to do that, I just suggest you go through the first 10 exercises in the first chapter. If you face any problem, we'll discuss it tomorrow. All right, so apart from that, there is nothing else. If you have to ask any questions, you can ask me. Okay, before we log off, if you want to discuss something, if you had any problems in installing the software or anything else you want to discuss, you can ask me.